Welcome back, everybody, to Marvel Mondays. That's right, we're back with Thor 2, baby! Thor the Dark World. This is the best Marvel film that's ever been made to date of this release.
Not even close.
Anyways,
we
this
are
guy
here.
6.7 on IMDb. That's 3.3 points lower than I think its actual Thor's rating. So they're pretty close.
Pretty close, but Rotten Tomatoes got 67% critics and 75% audience. That is way too high.
You think that's too high?
For Thor 2?
Is this your second time watching it?
Maybe the third.
Maybe. Okay. Anyways, if you're new around here, Marvel Mondays is just where we go quickly over, hopefully in 15 minutes or less. Release order is what we're doing for MCU. And yeah, we're just going to give our quick little insights of the film, what we liked, what we disliked, and how it affected basically the MCU. Without going too far ahead.
Yeah,
I want to talk about it in its
prime.
Well, like release date. So
Yeah,
basically nothing. We know nothing, but we do. But
we do.
We try not to reference it. Anyways, yeah, 67% critic score, 75% audience score. Yeah, that's not the best. Budget was 150 to 272.
Yeah.
Even if we say it was the full 272, it still made 644.8, which in today's Marvel, they would love that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, whoo!
Good enough for us.
Imagine if Marvel's making that and all the other films that have just not hit quite as well.
Yep.
They'd be really happy about that. Obviously, studio is Marvel. Director is Alan Taylor.
Yep.
And release date was November 8th, 2013. 12 years ago.
Yeah. Your cast is obviously Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Idris Elba as Heimdall, Christopher Alexton as Malekith, Stellan Skarsgård as Eric Selvage, and Kat Dennings as Darcy Lewis. Obviously, that's not...
And Chris Evans as Captain America.
As Loki. As Captain America.
Anyways, so let's dive right into our likes.
The first 20 minutes.
I wrote down my likes were Loki. I think if you take Loki out of this film, I don't know if there's really anything I enjoy about it.
Dang.
I think he was fun. He just has such great chemistry with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And anyone he really interacts with, Tom Hiddleston, it's not surprising that they gave him a whole show.
Yeah.
Entertaining, but just the dialogue they had, just really great chemistry, like I mentioned. The visuals were actually very solid. Backgrounds, I did some research. Turns out a lot of the backgrounds were actually still proper sets.
Yeah, at that time.
Which is pretty cool, and it shows. It looks great. The effects were decent, and yeah, that's about it for my likes. What do you got?
I said the first 20 minutes I really enjoyed. You had History of the Dark Elf. You had Loki coming back to Asgard after the battle in New York. You had Thor, like, insane fighting scene. Great. And then you jump to, like, Jane struggling to move on and, like, has given up on science. And then that's where the movie just goes downhill for me.
I thought that the beginning, it was
a good setup. That's my thing.
But that's, like, so cliche at this point, right? Like, all that exposition without having to explain it through the film. Like, just being like, this. This
is everything you need
to know. You
could
almost not even have the film and just skip to the part where they showed up at Asgard to try and take over.
That's fair, I guess.
Right? Like,
I don't know. I really enjoyed that. And then obviously, like, up until just after Darcy shows up to ruin the date. Like, that's good. And then anything after that just kind of things. And then I think the last few minutes is good. Like, Odin, Loki talking to Thor.
Okay.
That was good. And then Heimdall. Like, I think Idris Elba just kills it as Heimdall.
I don't think he liked the filming for
I don't
Thor
think he did, though.
At
You're
all.
right.
I think that goes... I think I read Thor 2 specifically. There was a ton of reshoots, and he was just annoyed. Yeah. I know that Chris Hemsworth also was not... He didn't love Thor 2, mostly due to, like, it didn't do anything for the character.
Yeah, it didn't. There was no character development.
So...
You just made him more moody, if anything. Dislikes.
Okay, so I'm going to preface this by saying, since we want to keep the little fun reviews for Marvel Mondays a little on the short side, we're not going to be super nitpicky when it comes to, like, a lot of plot convenience, or I guess, you know, a lot of errors in continuity. I saw a lot of people like nitpicking stuff like, oh, that ship turned off its shield before it crashed into it. And it's like, okay, like, we're not going to nitpick all that type of stuff. Like, okay, there's a lot of maybe poor editing choices, poor writing decisions, etc. It's not the best movie. We can move on.
I got 3 big points.
Yeah, 3 big ones. Go ahead, give me your first one.
One, how did the Dark Elves get off their planet and somehow access their ships after being like a disassociated planet that it was destroyed and everyone forgot about?
Okay, so you have a narrative question.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my first narrative question.
My first dislike is kind of funny because I think it was one of my likes from the first Thor film, which is Kat Dunning's character. It felt like they were trying too hard to make her the comic relief.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was just missing. And then we've talked about humor a lot on the podcast, and I'm sure by now we've already talked about it a lot on Marvel Mondays. And sometimes it's just better if it's more natural feeling and the jokes just line up nicely instead of having a character forced to be always making jokes. Yep. And I think her character this time just missed also the weird relationship thing going on with the
intern. Yeah.
That was just
a little weird.
It just didn't work for me.
Next point, which is slightly, again, narrative, but also story, is that the Warriors 3 and Sif returned from some crazy planet and they didn't search the prisoners and like didn't take their armor away.
That was weird.
Etc. Like, obviously that sets up the plot for the guy getting like in the prison for everything to happen, but like I feel like you should have taken some stuff away.
Yeah, there was some. Yeah, I mean that's classic.
That's just plot convenience.
Yeah.
Like
my one was villain was cheesy, boring, uninteresting.
Looked the worst. It was the worst looking for the Dark Elves in my opinion.
Well, it's not even just that. Just like they were so like, what is this, Star Trek from like back in the day?
Literally.
Like, I'm just gonna destroy the universe. Like I know that. Well, I can't. I don't know because I don't know that this movie's coming, so I can't actually mention it because we're
pretending that the rest of the MCU doesn't exist.
But just it felt like that very like cliche, classic evil villain, and they did nothing. Like they did. They were just so uninteresting.
Yep. My last big dislike / story is that as Guardians come back to Earth, a giant ship appears, various portals open up all over the city, and 2 government planes appeared. After a giant portal opened up in New York and there was a giant alien war, something similar starts happening and they send 2 government planes and that's it.
Yeah, okay. I feel like you're being a little nitpicky.
That is a little nitpicky, but also from the
I think what you
could,
if you wanted to say something even more that like encompassing of the issue is they basically repeated Avengers. They had this powerful thing that then shot into the sky and opened up a portal.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
but that's
various portals open up,
you
and
can
it's
just end it there. You don't even need to talk
picking
the plane thing. That's like so like who gives a crap? Like you're just like, oh,
this happened a few months
Avengers, ago, but with red bloody looking liquid instead.
Exactly.
And I don't care as much.
Yeah.
That was weird. I also put down worth noting that the director Alan Taylor had creative freedom while filming, no issues while filming. And he was then basically locked out of the editing suite.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah, and it turned the movie. He said that the whole movie changed. The vision that he originally had was no longer there. And he, I think, quote, close to quote, was saying that he hopes that he never wants to work in like a situation like that again. Hope that wouldn't wish it on anyone, basically.
100%.
So sounds like Marvel execs probably took over a lot and wanted to really give it that classic Marvel feel and also add probably a lot of connection to the MCU, make sure that was a focus.
But even things that like we're supposed to like, because obviously like Chris Hemsworth was saying there was no character development. Like his mom dies, and that did not contribute to the plot.
No, it didn't.
It just happened, and we moved on.
Another big plot convenience is obviously the whole void just so happens to be exactly where Jane Foster happens to be
at that time.
Yeah. And then the biggest dislike, which I feel like is probably similar to you, it's forgettable. Honestly, I don't think I remembered anything about this film other than
the ether.
Other than his mom dying.
Yeah.
And basically the post-credit scene.
Which directly connects to future films. So those are the only important parts from this film.
That's pretty much all I remember. Yeah. So I would say, and with that said, I wrote my notes for this maybe 5 days after watching it, and I was struggling to remember what happened.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that basically summed that up.
Favorite moments, Captain America cameo was great, and then
absolutely, that was great.
Darcy's interrupting Jane's date at the beginning, it was just fun because she was like the same comedic relief from the first one, but then it gets to be too much later. So that seems fun. the end because the credits rolled.
But my favorite moment was overall probably a lot of the Thor and Loki moments together. They were really great. And the final fight was decent. I thought they did a pretty good job of handling the whole going through different.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was kind of reminds me of a future Marvel film that also handled such interesting fight choreography, a little fun. Exactly. I just think that was done and it wasn't jarring. It was really well done.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah,
got to give credit where credit's due. That was decent.
Importance to the overall story of the MCU. Introduced into the Ether, which is one of the Infinity Stones.
But even that,
which we don't really know. Well, in the beginning, Odin references that there's other ancient items that were stones, but this one is different.
Yeah, he says, "Oh, I thought they came as stones, but this isn't a stone."
Yeah.
And obviously making reference to the Infinity Stones, later confirmed it is in the post-credit scene, which could have been done in any movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most important relevancy to the MCU, really, is that we have an Infinity Stone. And at this point...
And the Collector has it at the end.
At this point, this is the first mention
yeah.
of Infinity Stones, right? So now we're like, oh, if you're like a comic buff, you're kind of like, Infinity Stone? I see where we're going.
We did see the Infinity Gauntlet as an Easter egg in Thor 1.
So I feel like that's when the dots start connecting here.
Yeah,
and you're kind of like, oh, I know where we're leading up to. It's going to be cool. And then... it also reconfirms where the Tesseract is as well, right? We see in Avengers Thor takes it and people aren't happy about it, like S.H.I.E.L.D. and whatnot. But we do get confirmation that it is on Asgard, and the whole reason that they didn't want the Aether on Asgard is because they don't want the stones together, basically.
Yeah. Plain simple. Easter eggs, obviously Odin referencing the other ancient items were stones, the Captain America cameo. And
the Stone Giant is reference to Thor's first comic. Yeah. That's who he fought.
Yeah, and that's why Korg becomes a character later on, because obviously Korg is one of the Stone Giants. And this is like a really niche Easter egg.
The X-23 one?
No. Oh. Different one.
I thought you were going to jump right at the X-23 one.
You can say that one.
Okay, so behind Dr. Selvig, when he's in the psychiatric facility, he has behind him a chalkboard.
Yes.
It's also worth mentioning this is the Stan Lee cameo where Stan Lee's like, "Can I have my shoe back?"
Yep.
But behind him is one reference to 616.
Yep.
So you could say, is it that this is 616, or is he hinting that there's other universes overall, right? So that's already a big
question
explosion of like, whoa. Also on that was reference to the creators of X-23, Kyle and Chris, or Craig Kyle and Chris Yost, because it says Kyle plus Yost equals X.
Heck yeah. That's not the Easter egg. I
thought you'd like that one.
It's a good one. Actually,
very random.
I didn't know that one, actually.
Very random.
That's sick. The fun but really niche Easter egg, because it goes across all of the MCU for Phase 2, is that Thor gets his right hand cut off, referencing to Disney buying Star Wars during Phase 2 of the MCU. So there's a character that gets his right hand cut off in every Phase 2 film.
Yes, I remember this.
So there's that one.
That one's fun.
Then before we end, post-credit scene, we get introduced to the Collector, who we will see in other films.
Yep.
This is the first official mention of the Infinity Stones. And then Thor comes back, gives Jane Foster a kiss, and then the giant monster is just on the loose. I feel like this may have been covered in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I don't know.
I can't remember. My biggest thing that I remember from this film that was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like they go back to they're in France, and it's like the cleanup crew.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, whoa, they took out so much and made a real mess. And you're like,
Also, fun fact, that's not Natalie Portman in the post-credit scene. That's Chris Hemsworth's wife in real life.
Very cool.
Because something about she didn't want to come back for that scene, or Chris Hemsworth didn't want to kiss. I don't know. Anyways, but there you have it. Where are we ranking this?
Well, I'm going to say it's below Iron Man 3.
Yep.
If we're going by phases. And that's what we're doing at this moment. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Would you rank it out of a 10?
I'll say
I have a 5. I put Iron Man 3 as a 6.
You're doing it. I'm gonna do 5. Yeah. 5 out of 10. Yeah. So join us next Monday as we'll cover potentially a better film. Got to be better than 5 out of 10. Could be tough.
Fingers crossed.
And that's gonna be Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So we'll see you guys then.
See you.
Bye.